You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network.
Fabulous.
Live with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Amazing.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
Yes. Hello, my good friends. A very good day to you. 6 minutes now past the hour. You've arrived at California's number one place to talk about our state's food and beverage scene with a local, seasonal, and sustainable focus. Always great to have you with us on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh Hour. It's our goal to put you in touch with the farmers who grow, the producers who make, and the people who know about your favorite food and drink. Later on today's program, we'll meet up with a man who is convinced he has discovered the world's best place to grow wine grapes based on the soil composition, microclimates, the general terroir. And he says there is science to prove it. He loves the region so much that he moved from Dallas to become a winemaker. And I think he may be onto something because his blend is outstanding. The producer of Caldera Cuvée joins us at the bottom of the hour. Also, since it's Thanksgiving weekend, and a happy Thanksgiving, by the way, full of great food, family, and friends, and possibly more important to some people, the kickoff of the holiday shopping season. With that in mind, we have some great ways to explore California's amazing coastline, including kayaking, snorkeling, sailing, and surfing. Excellent gift ideas, and they're all 15% off because we've paired up with this company. All you have to do is put in our EDE promo code. That stands for Eat, Drink, Explore. EDE, and voila, 15% off. So stay tuned for the details there. But first up this hour, now that the holiday party season is indeed in full swing, you may have a cocktail in front of you currently, who knows? We're taking a look at great food recipes, but here's the twist. Every single one of these food recipes has wine, beer, or booze as the star ingredient. Author John Schlimm knows his stuff, and he is a member of one of the oldest and most esteemed brewing families in the U.S., the family behind Pennsylvania's Straub Brewery. His previous book, The Ultimate Beer Lover's Cookbook, was a runaway favorite, and more recently, he published The Tipsy Vegan, 75 boozy recipes to turn every bite into happy hour. I love it. Which is the focus of our segment today. John Schlimm, a big welcome back to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh.
It is so great to be back with you and all my friends out there who love to eat, drink, and explore as much as I do, especially that middle one.
Yes. We had a lot of great comments following your last appearance when we discussed the Cheesy Vegan, and a good friend of mine who is a travel writer for the Washington Post, she's a vegan, and she tried out some of your cheese recipes and says that they were outstanding. So,
oh, fantastic. That's always great to hear.
Yes, and so not long after our interview, your publisher sent me this Tipsy Vegan cookbook, and I got to tell you, I was looking through it, and I was saying, every single household, vegan or not, should have this cookbook in their pantry for the holidays. Sometimes do you sort of question putting the word vegan in there because it might turn some people off, even though this recipe is chock full of just awesome recipes?
Well, the Tipsy Vegan was my first vegan cookbook. And from the very beginning with the Tipsy Vegan, I was determined that I was going to smash through all those silly and ridiculous stereotypes that we vegans are boring and that we, eat really blah and mysterious food. That is just not the case. You are as likely to find me dancing on top of a table at a party one night and in a boardroom the next morning. So, I say we vegans, we are fun, and I think this cookbook really proves it. That word vegan, I think is becoming more mainstream, and I hope books like The Tipsy Vegan will make it more mainstream. And more importantly, my books are parties in a book to which everyone is invited. So all are welcome to come to my party.
I love it. And I like the way that you have broken up the book into its various chapters. You have plastered party starters. I like that. Boozy soups, staggering salads, and the theme goes on that way. The luscious lunch, sloshed suppers, and that sort of thing. Now, how did you come up with the different recipes that Did you take already established recipes and then try mixing in some different, wines and beers and that sort of thing? Or were these sort of booze recipes to begin with?
Well, it was a little bit of all of the above. These recipes are mainly from scratch, but certainly something like hummus. I looked at hummus and I'm like, how can I spike this up and make it really boozy? And so I added rum to it. And so you get a great appetizer that's called carousing cucumber rounds with rummy hummus. There's an acorn squash dish. It's called baked and loaded acorn squash, where I use apple brandy and so on. So I had a lot of fun experimenting. And, when you're testing these recipes, you find out just how many friends you have, because they all come knocking and volunteering to sample.
I can imagine. We should mention that the cucumber recipe with the hummus that you mentioned will be available on our website, eatdrinkexplore.com, under today's program summaries. We'll also post it as a standalone recipe article so that people can get this in time for their holiday parties. And then once you try this, you're certainly going to want to rush out and get the Tipsy Vegan book so that you can get the rest of the recipes as well. John, we're showing a photo right now for the people watching online via our eatdrinkexplore.com video simulcast. We are showing a picture of that acorn squash. It's beautiful.
So yummy and so perfect for holiday entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great squashes right now. Acorn squash is just one of them. Feel free to experiment with others. And, these recipes are easy. That's an important thing with all of my vegan cookbooks. The recipes have got to be easy, and they have to, use ingredients that are what I call small town friendly, meaning my friends and neighbors in the small hometown where I live can go to our grocery stores and, of course, the liquor store in this case, and find pretty much everything they need, because I want my books to be as accessible as possible so we can get right down to the partying.
I just saw a number of acorn squash, beautiful acorn squash, at the farmers market this past Saturday. So I know that they are available both from your local farmer or from the supermarket, like you mentioned. And John, I imagine that cooking with alcohol can present some issues in terms of how, not everything mixes well with booze. I imagine, this is vegan, so there won't be any milks that would curdle or anything like that. But what are some of the challenges when you were, testing in your own kitchen that you came upon by throwing in some liquor to the mix?
Well, you really have to think about the flavor profile of the ingredients of whatever dish you're making and think about, will that pair well with whatever alcohol you're going to put into it. So, I tried some that didn't quite work out, and those didn't make it into the book, but I just kept at it and kept trying until I got the right combinations and things worked perfectly. And for sure, just because I might call for whiskey in something doesn't mean that maybe you add beer instead.
Right.
As you mentioned to your viewers, one of my previous books was the Ultimate Beer Lovers Cookbook, which was all food recipes using beer. I come from a beer family, so the love of...
Hey, John, I have to halt you for just a moment. We'll pick up that thought when we come back. You're listening to Market Fresh here on the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. And welcome back to the program, everyone. Great to have you with us. I'm your host, Randall White. You are listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh Hour. And I want to say a happy Thanksgiving weekend to you. Hope you're having or had a great time with your family and friends and, filled up with good food and good times. I want to remind you that if you are, preparing for Monday's big what do they call it now? Cyber Monday, that you'll want to stay tuned, because later in the program, we will hook you up with a website, experiencedays.com. That's the letter X, experiencedays.com. Their whole thing is, instead of buying an actual, tangible gift, you are basically giving your loved ones memories that they will have once they experience some of the things you pass their way. And we've teamed up with them because they have 1,800 different activities that you can do from coast to coast, but a huge chunk of those are right here in California. And today we'll focus on exploring California's coastline, and that includes Lake Tahoe, and then all of the Pacific coast with snorkeling and kayaking and sailing. And hey, we're in California. You can't do it without some surfing. The beautiful thing about this is from now through the end of the year, because we've teamed up with them, if you put in a promo code EDE, which stands for Eat, Drink, Explore, you will get 15% off. Boom, just like that. And they're a really great site. I have personally gone through many of the different experiences that we have been discussing over the last several weeks, and then went to the actual company's main website. Let's say we were doing a cooking lesson or something in the Napa Valley. I went to that cooking company's website. The prices are the same, but through us, you'll get it at 15% off. So I just got to tell you, it's a really good deal, and I wouldn't get behind it if it wasn't. But let's get back to the topic at hand right now, which is a cookbook, and I've got it in my hand right here in front of me. It is The Tipsy Vegan by author John Schlimm. He's been on the show before. We had him on for the Cheesy Vegan Cookbook, but this one is 75 boozy recipes to turn every bite into happy hour. And welcome back to the program, John.
It's just so great to be here. And, this is the perfect season for the Tipsy Vegan. Though with the Tipsy Vegan, it's always a holiday. It's always a party. Anything in your liquor cabinet, you're going to find probably in the Tipsy Vegan.
And you have your book set up so that people can sort of stock their liquor cabinet with the items that you most use, right?
Absolutely. And everything is used in this book. Vodka and wine and rum and tequila and beer, of course, and great liqueurs. You name it, it's in here.
And so is there any one liquor or like a wine or beer or hard alcohol that you found works better than most?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm a huge vodka fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't intentionally do this, but when I went back and did the liquor cabinet index in the front of the book, I found that vodka is the most used alcohol in the book. So I think I subconsciously did that. But, but wine and beer are really so versatile that the two of those beverages really work in just about any dish.
Yeah.
And, especially this time of the year, so many people give all of us bottles of wine, especially homemade wine. And sometimes they're really good, and other times, maybe not so good, and you kind of feel guilty. Well, you don't have to feel guilty anymore, because guess what? Those wines that you can't really drink, they're great for cooking. So don't dump them out. Use them in your cooking.
It's so true. We host a lot of dinner parties, and even if we didn't host a lot of dinner parties, we go through a lot of wine at the house. And there are the nights that a bottle gets left out without the cork in it. You sort of forgot about it, and then the next day you're like, oh, I don't know about this wine any longer. So we have this growing area of our kitchen where these leftover wine bottles sit, and I have found that you can use wine in just about anything. And so I love that. What's one of your favorite dishes in the book here that you incorporate wine, red or white?
Well, there is a great applesauce recipe in the back that you can actually use wine in, especially a delicious fruitier flavored wine. And certainly, I'm not really a sweet wine drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I like the drier wines, but for some reason, people love to give me sweet wines as a gift. And, maybe it's a Western Pennsylvania thing, but that's how I use them. That's how I use them. Because, of course, I think it's akin to being a sin to dump any alcohol out. And so,
right.
I'll put them in applesauce or desserts.
I got to tell people that your writing in here, you're just going to have a good time the minute you open up the book. It's easy to read, first of all, but you love word puns.
I do. And, with this kind of cookbook, my editor just let me run wild, which was probably a dangerous thing. But I really got to have a lot of fun with this because that's what this book is really meant to be. And one of the things that I'm hearing from people all across the country about this book is they love to give this book as a host or hostess gift when they're going to a party or visiting, and certainly this time of year. And it's a perfect size. It's a nice little book. It's a perfect stocking stuffer size. So people are just having fun with this, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I love that. I didn't even think about that with this time. Being this time of year, I was focused on this time of year because everyone's throwing a party, but I didn't even think about it being a great little, instead of bringing flowers or something like that to somebody's house. And in fact, they say not to bring flowers to somebody's house because then the host or hostess has to find a vase, and it actually takes them away from their duties.
Yeah.
And so just a little, party etiquette today.
and flowers are expensive anymore.
Yeah, I know.
They don't last very long. I love flowers, but I love them when they're in the garden, and they're beautiful.
Right.
The Tipsy Vegan, you're going to be able to have fun for years to come with it.
Hey, John, as I thumb through here, I noticed that just about everything is a food dish. Do you have any actual cocktail recipes in here?
Of course. I couldn't leave out the actual cocktails. In fact, I start every chapter with a cocktail. So you get something like
literally and figuratively, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because, I believe that cooking should be just as fun as the eating. So you get things like the Dandy Brandy Punch, the Rum Tum Tum, the Midori Sour Patch, and of course, my favorite, the extra, extra dirty hot martini.
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm a martini fan myself.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. So, you get to have a cocktail while you're cooking, and it's just fun.
Now, because there's booze in the food, and, let's face it, most of the alcohol actually burns off if it's a food that's been cooked.
Yes.
But because the flavor is there to some degree, do you then make any suggestions for pairing? Like, if a red wine is in one of the dishes, then, you should you should serve this with a Cabernet or something along those lines?
Well, my rule with pairing, and even in the Cheesy Vegan, which we talked about a few weeks ago, I have an extensive pairing chart pairing the different homemade vegan cheeses with wines and beers and cocktails. My rule of thumb is it really is no rule. Drink what you enjoy. But if you really want to sort of stick to sort of a rule of thumb, I would say pair with what you're cooking with. So if you're cooking with a fruitier red wine or a vodka or whiskey, in the case of the flaming hot peanuts that are in the appetizer section.
Those look good. Those look really good. John, the Tipsy Vegan, thank you so much for joining us again today here on the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh Hour. We really love having you on.
Well, I love being with all of you, and I wish you and all of your listeners a very happy and boozy holiday season.
Sounds good. Stick around, everyone, because just after the break, we will be, again, discussing all things food, wine, craft beer, and make it fresh and local. In this case, it'll be wine and why one guy says he knows where the best wine country is in the United States. Find out where that is straight ahead.